journalist. She has written for the Arkansas Democrat, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, the Arkansas Times, Mature Arkansas, Little Rock Free Press, Encyclopedia of Arkansas History and Culture, the Memphis Wire, and the Cooper Young Lamplighter. That's a mouthful. Since 2008, she's been the lead writer for Hot Springs Life and Home magazine, and we're thrilled to have her with us tonight. Please welcome Denise Parkinson.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm really thrilled to be here. This is a beautiful facility. I've got my little bag of tricks and I've got my book. And I wanted to start by a brief reading from chapter 11, and then we'll go into more of a visual and discussion of the themes of the book. So I'm going to read real quick here from chapter 11. It's called Forget Me Not. A red cedar grows in the far corner of a lonesome cemetery in the small southeast Arkansas town of St. Charles. Through drought, flood, wind, ice storm, and unto drought again, the tree remains. The red cedar is about 80 years old. We know the reason it was planted, as well as the name of the man who planted it, John Black. It was uprooted in the first year of growth, knee-high and wild, from the banks of the nearby White River, which moves green and wide around a deserted bend, deep enough to float a barge. The cedar was taken under cover of night to its present location, where it shades a cemetery that bears no name or signage. Even the church has disappeared. The tree stands to a current height of about 50 feet. John Black planted it there on a summer night in 1934. In those days in Arkansas, when someone died a violent or scandalous death, whether by misfortune or their own hand, no headstone was placed to mark the grave. Instead, a cedar or other native tree was planted. The origins of this burial custom are lost. Native Americans consider the cedar sacred, also because many Arkansas settlers came from the British Isles, families with surnames like Black and Brown and White. The tradition could have arrived from England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. The practice may recall Celtic beliefs of long ago, when trees and rivers still spoke to humankind. John Black dug a hole in the rich delta earth and planted the tree to mark the burial place of Helen Ruth Spence. He had carried the girl's lifeless body to this patch of ground, miles away from the Essex funeral home in the Arkansas County seat of DeWitt. He did this with the help of others who waited with him until dark to enter the funeral home in stealth and spirit away the body lying within. They were of one mind that night to foil the gawking crowds that arrived in droves and stood in line for hours to peer in at the dead girl, laid out in a hastily built coffin before the funeral home's wide front window. She had lain there already a night and a day. Helen Spence, so young, beautiful even in death, a so-called outlaw, murdered at the hands of the state. And why shouldn't she be an outlaw, being as she was of the river? For Helen Spence, like John Black and the ones who helped take her away, belonged to the river people, a breed extinct as the ancient Celts, and for similar reasons. They were mortally fond of freedom. So I have a video slideshow that I'm going to transition to. I think I'm just going to let it scroll, and you can just have